Welcome back to Kinh Doanh 101. I'm your host, Thuy Phan. Da Nang Ngo and her husband Sin are low-key people, but the moment they brought the concept of seafood boils to the West Coast, it started a phenomenon that swept the foodies, and today they have over 19 locations. Find out how they got started and what plans they have for the future of the boiling crab. When Da Nang Ngo met her future husband Sin in 1997, she didn't know that he came from a long line of crabbers and that his expertise would one day help build what we know today as the boiling crab. Ngo says in the beginning she only wanted to bring the idea of the down-home crawfish boils to those on the West Coast, and the idea took off.
One day we just decided that we would do it. So that's kind of how the idea came about to start Crawfish. It was something that in living on the West Coast we recognized they didn't have quite yet, and realizing not a lot of people had experienced that seafood type of boil if they hadn't been to New Orleans or had family down south as well. So that was something that I was really excited about, that I could enjoy and share with my friends on the West Coast that had never experienced that as well without having to fly out of state to do that.
Yelp and food bloggers were just coming onto the scene, and it helped spread through word of mouth.
We had a cult-like following very early on, and it was right at the beginning of food blogging and the Food Network channels taking off with the One Chefs and all these chef reality shows and that nature. And I think what helped was just the strong core of loyalty fans that we had that really believed in our concept and really loved what we created, that helped carry word of mouth. It legitimately, to this day, we believe it was all word of mouth, and due to the fact of our customers and our employees and everybody who just loved what we stood for. I think the community and where we started, this little hole in the wall in Garden Grove, knowing that if we failed, they would be the most forgiving, as opposed to opening someplace in Santa Monica or someplace that the expectations might be a little bit higher, really helped us to grow into our own and experiment and figure things out for ourselves. So we really owe it all to the community that we started in.
Lines started forming, and the demand for the boiling crab was undeniable.
When we first opened in '04, it was legitimately what most would have called a hole in the wall in Garden Grove. It was about 1,450 square feet in size, very, very small. So with the long lines and the small kitchen and the tight dining area, we were kind of forced, I would say, to open. We were under a lot of pressure to expand just due to the demand. So our goal for expansion was to meet demands. It wasn't so much that we knew we were onto something, or that that was never our intention to open more than one store. We were perfectly content with one store in the very beginning. That was all we wanted. That was all we had asked for. So anything thereafter has really been a blessing for us and a pleasant surprise.
From there, they expanded and today have over 19 locations.
The bigger perspective on my end is we've now created these stores, and I've got all these employees, and I'm kind of looking out for their future and their best interest. And as we grow, they grow. So for me, that's the silver lining for me, is that as I continue to grow, not only are we going to be able to share this experience with other people, but internally for my staff and the people that have been with me from the beginning, they're able to grow in their positions and attain and achieve their successful goals, whether it's financial or title or career. So that's kind of what keeps me going, is seeing that through our growth we've helped so many other people achieve their goals as well.
Ngo said that one of the toughest parts of dealing with seafood is that it is live and unpredictable.
It was difficult for us in the beginning, learning how much to order, how much we would go through. Dealing with live seafood was a really big lesson for us, because obviously the product that you're getting in dies if it's not cooked right away, if it's shipped and the weather conditions aren't favorable. Your product, you have more to lose than to gain when dealing with live seafood. So that was a bit of a a lesson for us in learning and how to deal with stuff like that. Just dealing with customers and reviews has also been another lesson. I think business has changed quite a bit since when we've opened. Everybody's a food critic. Things go viral, you know, both good and bad. I think typically speaking, the issues that we've had were very normal from when I've spoken with other business owners, from having difficulties of getting our ABC license in the very beginning, just trying to please everybody, and making sure that our menu is, that there's something for everybody there, because I'm recognizing that everybody likes seafood as well.
Although Ngo and her husband exemplify the meaning of entrepreneur, she never thinks of herself as one.
So that's why I have a hard time labeling myself as an entrepreneur, but I guess in the true sense of the word we are, because we dreamt it up, you know, we put it on paper and we executed and we made it happen. We took the steps to make it happen. But I think for me, it's, I just have a hard time. I mean, because my story I feel like is just so simple and ordinary. Because I mean, at the end of the day, my husband and I, we love what we do and we work hard and we strive to make a better work environment for everybody so that everybody can enjoy their work. And I think my biggest job now is raising my family and ensuring that I'm instilling those values in them to be productive members of society and whatnot. But I do have a hard time labeling myself as this entrepreneur or this. I feel like people give us a lot more credit than I feel I should be receiving, because at the end of the day, I wake up, I go to work, and I come home, and it's just no more than what anybody else does. So that's why when someone asks, what's your secret? It's like, you just love what you do. Just, you know, we've always said at one point, if we're not having fun anymore, we should just stop opening. I mean, there's been moments where I've been close to that, but trials and tribulations of everyday work, I guess. I guess there's not one person that probably can't say the same thing about their job, whether they're a business owner or not. When we first started sharing our idea of, we think this is what we want to do, we think this is what we're going to do, there were a lot of negative responses, and one being, crawfish is seasonal. Most of seafood is seasonal. You're at the mercy of the weather, the climate, the year before even. So a lot of people had asked us, what are you going to do when crawfish is not in season? Well, first off, I should back up, but the name the boiling crab came about because my husband was a crabber. He wasn't a crawfish fisherman. I knew that, generally speaking, most people knew what crab was. I knew not a lot of people knew what crawfish was. So we named the restaurant The Boiling Crab, knowing that people would be drawn in through their love of crab, and in doing so would be introduced to crawfish. The fact that crawfish took off was an awesome surprise. Since then, we've added things to our menu to help balance when we didn't have crawfish. We've added a bunch of fried dishes for a number of reasons, but we haven't had any issues with crawfish being out of season other than limited times of the year, because we're able to bring in, you know, frozen crawfish now, and we're able to freeze our own crawfish, and there's lots of ways around it. But shrimp has also become a bigger selling point for us, so we're able to make up for it in other ways when crawfish isn't in season.
One thing you notice about the boiling crab is the laid-back, casual feel, and that means bibs and eating with your hands.
It was very important to us, and a big part of our concept, to maintain a sense of casual dining. When we opened, we tried to be very clear about, you know, we're not fine dining, we're not white linens, we're not your typical Papados, Red Lobster, all these other great seafood restaurants out there. We wanted it to be very casual, a place where it was all about the food and not so much about who's coming to eat this food. The writing on the wall, that was very organic. It was people who would come in and make their mark. We had a very pure, by the water type of feel that we wanted to carry on and authentically use from my husband's background of fishing and crabbing, everything that reminded us of the South or the Gulf of Mexico or New Orleans. So that's kind of where all that came from. We just wanted to ensure that it was about the simplicity of the food and the nature of sharing the food, and not so much everything else that came with dining. So that was an outlet that I think we were really successful in without knowing that it was going to be successful. It's kind of who we are. We consider ourselves country folk, just ordinary people doing what they love to do. So,
moving forward, the Boiling Crab has plans to expand into the global market.
For my husband and I, the Boiling Crab is like our child that's constantly growing, and so we guard it, you know, very securely, and maintain that anybody who runs it loves it as much as we do. So it's not just something that will help them attain their financial goals, but something that will speak to them, you know, heart and soul, and what they love, and what they love to eat, and what they love to do, and what they love to provide for others to enjoy that and share that experience. So we've decided to stop franchising domestically, which is great for us because the franchisees that we currently have are a family, are family to us, and it's a tight-knit group that is able to respect our opinions and respect where we want the brand to go. We are, however, franchising internationally because obviously we can't be in Asia or Europe or wherever it is we want to go. So with that being said, if it's not in my backyard, it's a little bit easier to let go. But we are franchising internationally.
Ngo says follow your instincts and give it a try.
Know what it is truly and sincerely and genuinely what it is you want to put out there, and love what you do so that when you fail, it won't hurt as much because it's something that you loved. And think differently. I think if I had listened to every negative criticism or every negative advice that I was given, I probably wouldn't be sitting here today. So I felt in my gut if it was something that I would have to prove to myself, and if it failed, it failed. We would go right back to working because we're not afraid to work hard.
Coming up after the break, we'll talk to the originators of the fish tacos by a team of brothers and show you how Wahoo's changed the face of fast casual dining in the U.S.